Hello everyone! So today we have an important topic, higher education abroad, in particular in Canada. I know a lot of you are thinking about studying abroad in Canada, but you have thousands of questions. How much is it gonna cost? Does it mean my parents have to pay thousands of dollars for my education? Do I have to work while I'm studying? Can I even survive my undergrad period? Is it worth it in the end? So in today's video, we're gonna answer all of those questions. Continue. Hi everyone! Today we have an amazing video for you about education. It's a hot topic for everyone. Everybody wants to get good education, good job later, become smarter, more clever, make more money, etc. Okay, so you may be really interested in studying in Canada, but then all those questions come up. Am I going to be able to pass the English test? What do I have to do to apply to the Canadian university? Are my parents going to pay crazy international tuition just for me to get education? I better stay in my home country and just follow the well-known path. Maybe not even go to university. But I'm going to give you some tips that will make you more hopeful in studying Canadian universities and give you good ideas of how to save money and how to pay less. So first of all, if you're a genius and you have won numerous contests, math contest, programming contest, chemistry contest, you name it, on the high level, international level, then you may be able to receive a full scholarship. And what I mean by won the contest is you got a medal, and it can be national level, but it's usually not enough. What really is valued is international level, bronze, silver, gold medal. I know myself a lot of students who won international math contest, international programming contest, and were able to receive full tuition refund, cover their housing costs, food costs, and they had possibility to do research on campus with a professor. So this is all wonderful. You have to work hard for this since young age, since elementary school, since middle school. It's a lot of work. Also, it takes a lot of engagement, resources. Maybe you don't have those resources. So we're gonna continue on to the next point. So now we're on the main points of how you can pay domestic fees as an international student. These apply to most universities in Ontario and I think in Canada. So you have to check with the university again beforehand, before you use this technique, but it applies in some very interesting cases. Let's see. So first, you're obviously not a citizen, but maybe you're an Indian, registered under the Indian Protective Act of Canada. So you're an Aboriginal to Canada. Then you can pay domestic fees. That's kind of obvious. Then if you're a permanent resident, you can pay domestic fees. That's also kind of obvious, right? But then if you're dependent of a permanent resident, which includes your unmarried child, your spouse, married spouse, common law, or the unmarried child of your spouse or common law partner, then they can also pay domestic fees. Quite interesting. Then there are some legal points which you can figure out yourself, but permanent resident and dependent. Second point, diplomats. So if you have been admitted to Canada under a specific agency which is called Canadian Department of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, and if you're either a diplomat or consular or officer, the dependent of those. So again, if your parents are diplomats or consuls to Canada from another country, then you are eligible for domestic fees. That's kind of nice because consuls are forced to work in another country or sent by their original country. So it would be unfair to charge their children too much money. And then also if you have been admitted to Canada by your government accredited representative or official of another country other than Canada, or of the United Nations or any of its agency, or any intragovernmental organizations of which Canada is a member. So again, if you are dependent of that applies to you as well. And if you are, then you probably know it. And then finally, also if you're a member of a foreign military force or of a civilian component thereof admitted to Canada under the Visiting Forces Act, again, or the dependent of them, then you can also be eligible for domestic fees. You know if you are, I'm pretty sure. Unlikely that it applied to you and you're watching the video right now, even though if it is, thumbs up to you. And then next one is very important one, is the visitors who have work permit and they are dependent. So I think this is the most widely possible category, which is also mostly unknown. To whomever I tell this, they say I hear about this first time. And usually the work permit is employer specific. If you have not an open work permit, so check with the university, because some universities explicitly say that you're eligible for domestic fees if you're a dependent of a person with employer specific work permit. Check that. But sometimes it's not. And here I would like to make a point for my Ukrainian viewers who have visited Canada on the CUAET program. I know that Canada has recently granted a lot of work permits to Ukrainians fleeing war in such an unfortunate situation in Ukraine. They're eligible for work permits. And so their dependents should be eligible for the domestic fees. Again, this is not an employer-specific work permit. You have to check with the university. But according to research I have done with the universities in Ontario, some of them, this is true that you just have to hold a work permit in the CUAET program and your dependents are eligible already. So it doesn't have to be even a job. An authorization to work in Canada. So thank Canada government for that. It's pretty good. Even though still domestic fees are expensive, etc., but it's much better than international fees. And then finally, if you are a refugee or a dependent of a refugee. So there in Canada, there are two categories of refugees. For the work permit and their dependents, it seems like a great rule, but there are some exclusions that apply. Please keep them in mind. They are pretty obvious, but important to know. First of all, if you are a visitor and you're already doing graduate teaching assistantship or research assistantship, so in other words, you're a PhD student, because most PhD students in Canada receive both teaching and research assistantships. They don't require a specific work permit for this, even though they might get one. But you're kind of a student yourself, so you don't really count as a person with a work permit. Then, if you're an international student and you hold a work permit, but only for your co-op. So when you apply for our co-op program and you're admitted to it, you'll be given two permits. One is study permit, one is work permit. And the second one will allow you to work in Canada during your co-op terms. But this does not allow you to just use it and apply for domestic fees. Naturally, you're just still a student, international student. Also, if you're an international student who holds a work permit for the post-graduation work, it's called the post-graduation work permit. A lot of international students in Canada apply for this opportunity to work for 3 years after their graduation. So they're legal and everything, but see, it does not give you the same status as the work permit would, work permit. You cannot let yourself or your dependents receive domestic tuition. Just wait for 3 years. Hopefully everything works out. You can maybe apply to what you want to apply. So if you're an international student holding an off-campus work permit, so you can work part-time during your studies. Again, there are restrictions on how much you can do this, but that's another story. You cannot apply for the domestic fees. You're still considered an international student, and I guess universities still think they're nice and they give you opportunity to earn your money part-time work. And then finally, if you're an international student whose spouse or common law partner has received a work permit as a result of the international student holding a valid study permit. In the first situation, there was a student and then somebody received a work permit because of that. This doesn't work. You have to first have a work permit and then you and your dependents can have domestic fees. In order to be eligible for this one, you have to be determined to be a protected person. So if you are one, pay domestic tuition. Also, there's one more category of refugees, those who applied for the convention refugee status before January 1st, 1989. So if you're like that, then you can get domestic fees, even though you're gonna be pretty for this. Okay, so these are well-known facts. You can find them on the website of many universities. All you have to do is just Google your university name that you want to search and work permit domestic fees, and you're gonna see a webpage that lists a lot of criteria, like the ones I mentioned right now, that apply and allow you to study with domestic fees. So hopefully this information has been helpful to you. I really hope that you either fall into one of those categories or you are able to find other ways to pay your tuition or save money on your tuition. Yeah, let me know if you have any more questions. So at this point, you have seen that it is possible to pay domestic tuition for an international student from any other country if your parents, etc., satisfy the following the criteria we mentioned before. But again, lots of universities in Canada have this program. You have to take use of it, and I hope you can take use of it. But always check with the admissions before you apply. Most universities have this, especially in Ontario, but be safe, so check. And also, generally, the procedure is that you apply as an international student, respecting the correct deadlines, etc. Then you get your letter of admissions, wishing you the best of luck in that.